Hey everybody, it's Joe DeGanzik, and this is another one of our news and analysis episodes, and I promise we'll keep it shorter in length than our kind of longer commentary episodes about things like CES. March 21st was yesterday. That was when Apple had its event, talking about things like iOS and the number of devices and HomeKit. Oh no, there wasn't actually any HomeKit news, which was kind of disappointing, but we weren't necessarily expecting anything since a number of beta versions of iOS had already been out in the wild and been out for public testing. Anyways, there really wasn't anything new. We'll probably see something new at WWDC, their big developer event in June. So, 1 billion different iOS devices that are out in the wild and active, according to Apple. That's a pretty cool number. Some of those, of course, could be considered home automation controllers or at least responders or, HomeKit devices. So that sort of pertains a little bit. That's pretty nifty. The older ones probably not going to do that much with home automation. And of course, they talked about renewable energy, in which all of their data centers had achieved 100% renewable energy use, which is pretty cool if you think about how much stuff now goes through those data centers. Anything from Apple Music to iMessage to Siri to just everything in between. So other announcements that they had briefly, they released a new iPad Pro, which is, the really cool device they announced last September with the Apple Pencil. I tried this the other day. It's really an impressive device. I can't believe I didn't try it until recently. It has nothing to do with home automation unless you take the smaller version and, mount it to a wall and use, Siri with it and whatnot. But we're just mentioning it because, well, it's cool, but kind of pricey for a home automation display screen. Go get yourself like a used iPad or some tablet or whatnot. Or you could get the new, everything that's old is new again, a 4-inch device. They introduced the iPhone SE, also widely rumored. And of course, some people just like, this is the 4-inch, 5th generation iPod Touch. Some people just like the smaller size, the size that really fits in your hand. You can get your hands around it. If that is the size or form factor that you like, then perhaps you should get one if you're interested in that or need an upgrade or whatnot. But of course, the iPhone does support HomeKit and iOS and home automation apps and all that stuff, and that's why we're mentioning it. The only other thing that really pertains is something pertaining to lighting. And to do that demo, I need to change something briefly in the background, so just hang on a minute. So Apple announced iOS 9.3 yesterday with a groundbreaking, earth-shattering feature. Actually, not really. And because of AirPlay potentially timing out, we're actually going to demo it right now and kind of get to the backstory afterwards. So a little bit reverse. So if you want to find this new feature called Night Shift, it is available in a couple different places, and you can manually turn it on and off on the little pop-up screen by swiping up from the bottom with this little sun icon. But as you can see, it's doing nothing to the screen behind me, which is strange. Apple has implemented it so that it only shows up on the actual the local display itself and not being sent through an AirPlay mirrored connection. And I'll show you that as we do this right here. Tap the little sun and kind of like moon icon, and your screen will go down to more of a warmer hue. Turn it off and it will go back to more of a bluish hue. You see that a lot when people record computer screens and whatnot. So where is the feature? Where else can you activate it and set it up? So under display and brightness, under night shift, and what we can do is we can manually enable it. That's one option. You can schedule it either at the time of your choosing, a time range. This automatically says 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Or you can just simply say sunset to sunrise. That will work based on you having your time zone set automatically by Apple's servers, which is kind of a nifty setting. I like the fact that they've added all these customizations to it. Let's just turn off the automation and let's go ahead and just turn it on manually until tomorrow. So again, you get something that looks a little bit more warm. It actually matches the soft white, warm white lighting that we're using in the studio, makes everything look balanced, unlike the kind of more bluish display in the background. And they give you a slider as long as I can grab it, there we go, that you can adjust how warm or cool the display is when the night shift is enabled. I kind of like it right about there. So that's the quick demo of how you can get to it and how you can activate it. It's called Night Shift. It is available in iOS 9.3 across iPads, iPhones, and iPod Touch devices. And so now the theory behind it, or well, a brief history of like human civilization. Because of our circadian rhythms, the same thing that drives us, drives other animals on the planet, is that once the sun goes down and you get those warm gold tones that you see, you want to be more relaxed. You're getting ready to potentially go to sleep, or that was the way it used to be. In the daytime, the sunlight is generally more bluish and you're alert. And that's how that worked. And then nighttime, you're ready to go to bed. But we have changed all that with these screens that we look at, whether computers, TVs, iOS devices, any kind of mobile device. We've got these screens in our faces. Now, there's been a product out there. There's been numerous, but I'll mention F.Lux because we talked about it on an earlier episode like a year ago, that can do this same sort of night shift color temperature adjustment to other devices, things like Android, things like PCs and Macs and Linux and all of that stuff. And again, it can change the color temperature of your monitor to more of a warm tone. Now, why does this matter? Is because some people, if they look at computer monitors or TVs and they see this bluish light, it can interfere with them getting to sleep or staying asleep. Some people have this issue, some do not. I was using F.Lux for a while and I ultimately disabled it because, as you saw in the demo, and if you think about it, changing the color temperature from more of a bright, bluish white to something that's more of a warm tone is going to affect other things like Photoshop images and video editing and anything in the creative world when you're working with digital imagery on a computer, which is what I do quite a bit. So I ultimately turned it off, and I have found personally that I'm not affected by this issue with blue light. So that's the little feature about lighting and color temperature in iOS 9.3. We're still running the giveaway. I'm going to just point to it because I think we're doing an overlay of Thing Charger. I could explain it right now, but it's an awesome way to just charge all of your stuff, whether it's an Apple device, an Android, or anything in between. Send in your questions. We're doing the Q&A episodes every single month. Send them in to questions@lightinganswers.tv. Many times I get back to you fast, and then we take the best ones and put them on a future episode. Let's see, giveaway, we talked about future stuff, we talked about all that stuff. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to Lighting Answers and get all of our really cool episodes on anything from lighting to home automation to projects to specialty stuff. We've pretty much got it all covered. So that's it. I'll see you next time.